Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Shruti Vashisht and you are watching Living Our Ascension. So today I want to speak about something that is really important, something that happens along the path of spiritual awakening, and especially I'm talking about the level of awakening to ascension, which is about service to the planet. So many beings on the planet are going through a shift in consciousness, and when they really go through it, you will experience this period that I'm speaking about for sure, and I'm going to give you my own personal example and what happened briefly as well, and I'm going to explain what it feels like, basically, what it's all about, and it's called the point of no return. So what does that mean? Before I even explain it, feel it into your body. The point of no return. Have I ever felt this? The point of no return. And I'm going to speak, of course, about it in this video, so keep watching. If you'd like to hear about this subject, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to this channel. And below this video, you can check out links that I have to a new course that I have coming up called EMBODY, the Fifth Dimensional Vibration, where we take you through the process of embodying this level. It's not just about speaking about these spiritual concepts, but about embodying them. So I also have links to work with me at a personal level, and I have another course too called Manifest Soulmate Relationships. And finally, I want to tell you that I have a playlist on YouTube that you can watch. It's also about the fifth dimensional awakening, the signs of awakening, the symptoms of awakening, and all of that. So I'll link it up there. You can find that. You can watch some of those videos if you want after this one. Okay, so now what is the point of no return? So the point of no return, we experience it when we're going through our awakening process. And when we are awakening to something that is greater than just this third dimension. So most of us have known ourselves growing up as a third dimensional body, that we are this, human being, and basically these are the physical realms, and this is mainly just what we experience. Even if you were spiritual to some level and you knew that things like astrology exist, or there's spirituality, there's a god or source or whatever it might be, even if you believed that, it's one thing to believe it at a mental level and to have some sort of devotion to it, and it's another thing when those frequencies actually start landing in your body, they start interacting with your body, they start to penetrate and enter your body. When that starts to happen, then we start experiencing remembrance. This is the remembrance of what we are, and it is a remembrance that is beyond memory. It is a remembrance that is a body, it's not even a body remembrance, it's beyond the body, but we feel it because we're humans in a body. So we will feel it as a feeling in the body. So that is what I'm speaking about today. And this comes as this overwhelming experience of truth, of just knowing something beyond even understanding. Before you can analyze it with the mind, before you can put it to words, it takes over your whole body almost like, and it's this very, very deep visceral remembrance that is there. Almost like, when somebody dies, let's say somebody that is very dear to you and they die, it's like your whole body takes over. You can't help it. Your body's purging, it's crying, or first it might be numb or whatever, but it's like it's an overwhelming thing, that experience. You can't deny it, and it's something you'll remember for the rest of your life as something that was quite that stood out, So this experience, you can say, is sort of like that, but in a positive way. Although I don't see death as anything negative as such. At a spiritual level, it's not. But at the same time, nothing that is of the physical can describe it. So even when somebody's loved one dies or whatever, that experience and how it changes their life has nothing. It's nothing in comparison to what you will go through when you hit the point of no return, when the knowing and remembrance lands in your body. And I'm not talking about those small remembrances, when we suddenly have like we upgrade to a certain level. This is that first initial remembrance of moving from the third dimensional from a third dimensional awareness and consciousness into something higher, when we start bursting out of that, when we start moving especially into the higher fourth dimension. So at that point, so let me just give you my example. It might make things clearer. So when this happened with me, it was happening in the years 2013, I think 2012, it had probably already begun. But I was kind of going through a more darker period at that time. Usually, that's what we go through. We go through a dark night of the soul period. I have made some more videos about these things. I'll link one up here. It's again on the playlist of the Fifth Dimension playlist that I've linked before. But basically, you'll go through a dark night of the soul period. When it is a true awakening, this always happens. Because you have to shed, you have to let go of all that you knew in this lifetime. You have identified as a human body, and just everything that you knew, your whole reality sort of collapses. So that's a huge shock to the body, even if it's something positive and you have more hope and whatever it is, but it's still a shock to the system, to the body. You realize that the reality, as the very fabric, the very foundation, it's almost like the earth that you stood on suddenly shifts. So it's going to cause some sort of a stir. It's going to cause quite a bit of stir within your being. So we will know with the dark night of the soul that there is something larger that I belong to, and there's hope in that sense. But at the same time, we are experiencing the darkness. We're getting to see all the darkness that lies behind everything, the lies, the manipulation. And of course, in 2020, we're seeing it anyway. In the population, it's out there, because we're living in these most exciting times. I know that they're not easy, but they are most exciting for humanity from the point of evolution, that it's all out there. It's coming out there, in front of the public, in front of the common people. Like the news is showing things about pedophilia, like all of these top actors and stuff. Tom Hanks, I used to really love him growing up. And I love him in the movie Cast Away. I thought it was a brilliant acting and all of that. But basically, pedophilia, how it exists, and just all of these things are coming out. Child trafficking and so many things. And in previous years, we've also seen the Me Too movement. We've seen more equal rights, for colored people as well, and then people of color. And also we've seen what else have we seen? Just equality, like LGBTQ plus and everything. Just equality on all levels. Even for in India, for example, migrant workers are getting a voice for the first time, a little bit at least. With all of the things that are happening. So you see how it's exciting. The world is, there's a shift that's happening. All of the muck and the shit that we live in, actually, at an energetic level, it's coming out in front of people, in front of their faces at some level, that they can't any longer ignore it. Like, they can keep calling it conspiracy theories, but only until a certain point. At some point it will reach their home. So right now I can sit nicely in my house and think that the migrant workers going through this, oh no, they're just people who, like, beggars and stuff, who beg for money, and they take the money and they do drugs and stuff. They don't actually have real problems. Education is free. Why don't they just go and get an education? It's very easy for me to think that, but then being in that person's place and what they're going through, like just the food that they eat, it depends on their one day of work, like whether they get to work that day or not. And then just the mental trauma and everything that they go through, like they almost like they need drugs to be able to live, to be able to even feel anything, because they're that numb. You have to, a human has to make themselves almost that numb, because this is my reality. I have to go down a gutter and clean it every day. This is it. And there's no growth that is there as well. There's nothing that's provided to them in order for them to grow out of that. There is nothing that they can accomplish, no ambition. This is it. Like, you're born in this family, this is the work you're doing. This is what you're doing. This is your life. That's it. So that level, that does not sit well with the human, because a human, inherently, all humans at a very deep soul level, they know that they can create anything they want. They're meant to almost like claim this earth and create this beauty, basically, within harmony with the earth and universal energies. So you can imagine the sort of despair that the person goes through. And it's very easy for a person like me, let's say, to sit here and say whatever kind of privilege you have, the privileges that we have made in society, like if we have that. And I'm not even saying you have to feel guilty for your privilege. It's not about shaming that either. But it's about taking ownership and responsibility for how all of us have contributed to society and the society we have now. So we, of course, we begin that by self-mastery, by knowing ourselves at a deep level first. Because then we, even through just our energy, we shift a lot, It's not even, you don't have to necessarily be an activist or whatever, unless you want to. So, I don't know where what point eventually led me to this. But basically, it's truth that comes out. We first get to see all of the muck that lies beneath the surface at an energetic level, and those lies and manipulations that we have fed ourselves, told ourselves, and we are sitting very happily within. We're happy to be controlled and all of that. So we start moving out of that, and we start seeing life as it actually is. Truth, that there's a higher order that exists. It's not just this matrix, this third dimensional mental order that we have created that keeps everybody restricted. Even the ones that are in power are not really in power, are they? Like, if you keep somebody else down, you're at a certain level of power, but it's not real power. You're always going to be insecure. It's a fear-based reality that you have chosen. So there's like growth for everyone, and everything is restricted within something like this. So this is the third dimensional thing that black and white, I benefit off of you. Like it's like they in a third dimensional world, everything is limited, and I have to sort of fight for what I need. And it's like a sense of I am alone. It's a sense of ego. The ego believes that it can die. So it believes that I need to survive, and in order to survive, I have to snatch it from somebody else, or I have to just be a survivor and do. It's almost like they're at war or something. That's why there is less empathy for others as well as your own self, because these people, they haven't connected to their bodies yet. So when we're starting to move out of that, we start to connect with our bodies. And when we start connecting to our bodies, we realize the truth that our body is showing us all along. No matter what the government is feeding us or who the news is saying what, our body starts to tell us what is true, what is not, what feels good, what doesn't. At an energetic level, at a mental level, at a physical level, whatever we are taking in. So when this starts to happen, we will of course experience this darkness and the heartbreak that comes with it. The heartbreak of our past as well, that our parents weren't perfect, and all of those things that we have to allow that forgiveness and that letting go and all of that. But at the same time, we will start to experience the light. So this light comes pouring in the moment that we create just a little bit of space of neutrality, of non-judgment for the things that have happened, that we embrace all within love. You have just a moment of that, the light comes rushing in. And this is when remembrance starts coming into our body. When we do this enough, and our intention is right, like our intention is to serve, our intention is to just be empty and life show me what it is, show me why I am here, what is my purpose, how can I serve the world that I live in. Like it's at this level, there is no job, no other thing that I can serve, that I feel like serving any longer, except for this, for truth. I just want to serve truth, and anything I do now is devoted to that. And that begins with my own self-mastery, my devotion, and my complete and utter devotion to my self-mastery. So when that vibration lands in your body, when you claim that first, remembrance starts to flow in. And for me, it was like I don't know how to describe it. I don't have words, but it was just this feeling that took over my whole body one day. I think I was just sitting on my bed or something, and going through all of the energies, because I'd started feeling energies in the astral realms. My course, by the way, also speaks about all of these things that I'm speaking about: the astral realms, the dark night of the soul, the point of no return, all of these things in very details, and explains to you about it. It takes you through guided meditations and an embodiment, like practical exercises as well, to deal with it, to not only to deal with it, but what is it serving you as, and it lands that in the body, it integrates it. So my whole body was just overwhelmed with this remembrance. I suddenly just knew why I was here. I knew the truth of my soul. I knew that I'd come here to serve, and it was this love that I felt, this overwhelming love that was beyond any kind of love that I've ever felt before. I had tears in my eyes and I didn't even know it, and it was just, I was all alone. but I felt so filled in. I felt like I was one with everything in life. I didn't feel alone at all. I felt like for the first time I knew what connection was. I felt like for the first time I knew why I was alive. It was almost like I remembered that I am in a dream. This is a dream, and there is something else that is actually a reality. And how that reality blends with this, like what was my original decision, why I came here. And it wasn't this stream of thoughts, it was just this one sudden thing, one sudden knowing that all of this came through. That is how knowing comes through. It's light packets. It's a packet of light that comes, and then it unfolds gradually when you allow it in the body and you allow it to spread. It'll unfold into different things. It'll reveal gradually along your path when you keep choosing it. And embracing what it shows you. It'll reveal more and more about your own purpose, about service and all of that, and it'll bring you remembrance. But there were these tears, and my whole body just, it's like all of my cells, all of my DNA remembered what I truly am, beyond all of these stories, beyond any darkness I was going through, beyond any darkness I was seeing in the world. I just knew. And this love that I felt in my body was beyond like the love that my mother, let's say, gave to me than any parent could ever give. It was just something so much more pure, so much beyond that, so much larger. And it's just difficult to describe. You can't describe it. You have to go through that experience. And that is why there is no returning from that. Because you move into the, it's like, how can you go back from knowing? You know something now that you didn't know before. How can you go back from that? It's almost like in like a more negative sense. Let's say your spouse is cheating on you, and all this time you had a great relationship and you believed that it was all great, and now you know something. How can you go back from that? You can't. Like, it's something you know now. All your actions now have to be aligned with this new thing that you know, this greater reality. So of course that's a very limiting example I gave you, but this of course is this doesn't compare. I can't give you any comparisons. So that is the point of no return, when truth comes in your face in such a way that it just takes over your whole body, and it leads to love. So it's the combination of truth, light coming to you, leading to this overwhelming love. So it's the merge of the masculine light aspect and the feminine love aspect. Love and light is one, flowing through your body as remembrance. This deep remembrance that is just lands in your cells. Even if you don't have mental images for it, you don't have words, you don't know exactly what your soul is, it's just this deep remembrance of love. It feels like love, basically, beyond this physical body, beyond what a human should be capable of feeling in a human body. It's almost like it wants to break the body and let you experience that you are even greater, something like that. And essentially what it is, I'll end with now with what it is I've spoken about this in other videos. It's about the flame, the white fire, the white flame. I made another video about it, very in-depth. You can watch it here. And it's also important for this month because we're going through these initiations. But the flame is the most core part of you. So I speak about this in all my videos, that there's all of these emotions that we go through, right? Like sadness, happiness, they're always related to something in our physical life. But in the middle, when you go deeper within those emotions, they're actually serving a purpose. They're showing you that joy is what you really are. Joy is a neutral state. It always exists, no matter what you have, what you don't have, what leaves your life. You are joy. So that's like an essence, like a state that you can be in. And those are spiritual states. So that is ideally what we want to move into. And when we start moving into that is when we start moving into the fifth dimensional vibration. We live beyond duality, beyond happiness, sadness and whatever. We move into neutrality. We move into the creatrix, the natural order of life, where things exist as they are. They just are. But even beyond that is the source of everything that is created. Is the white flame, you can say. This is the part of you that exists in spirit, that is not even an essence. It's just life. It's you. It's a spark of life. It's the most core part of you. So when that comes through, that leads to really massive changes in the body, that leads to these moments of remembrance. And this is one major one that will happen through the awakening process in the beginning, when you majorly remember what you are. But it might come through in smaller ways later too, because again, the body can't take all of it in at once. So like I said, light unfolds when you allow it to come into the body. You've made space for it by surrendering and saying, I'm open, show me, I'm ready, I'm in service. And there is that actual true devotion that I will act, that I am a servant to truth, and there is that actual willingness to be able to act in it, no matter what it means for your life, because you are a servant, you are in service. It's about the greater good as well as your own highest good within that. So that is when it comes. So we have to claim that first in a very truthful manner. And then the flame comes through, and this is what it is. It's beyond even an essence, you see. It's just the core of you. It's like the naked spark. It's beyond any physical form. Like even before you were a more subtle being, like an angelic being or whatever, like light. It's very core. It's you as source, basically. You as all that is. So that is the point of no return when we experience that. So if you've ever experienced that, this is what you were going through, a white fire, white flame initiation. And when we claim it, of course, it lives in us, and all of the decisions that we take, and we are in service first of all, and all of the decisions that we take are based on it. It won't be based on ego, that I am this, I am that. Sometimes it'll be the opposite, like for me, so many years I wasn't doing any regular job. I quit my, when I was going through this period of no return, I wanted to be an opera singer, so I was applying to colleges abroad, like that was my plan. And I was doing everything I could to learn opera and so many things related to it, like learning music, musicality and all of that. I was in Hong Kong. I had like I've mentioned in other videos, I had a really nice job, like that paid very well. And I quit all of that because I knew that there was something greater. It's not that those things weren't my passion. I love singing even now. I love being creative. But my path was to be creative in a different way. And now, so many years down the line, when I am creative, I do it in ways, first of all through media, but also any creativity that I put out there is in service. It's about showing purity. It's about spirituality, basically. It's bringing through soul codes. It's bringing through essences. So it's a deeper part of me that landed. So then therefore I couldn't do just opera singing anymore. I remember back then, even when I was preparing for opera school and all of that, I used to think that, all of these opera singers, like the women, I see them doing very similar roles. Like they're all this, seductress, or it's like this meek woman that's there, like a witch or something. There's like these, 2-3 roles that are there essentially that you're playing. So it's the same story. It's almost like they're beautiful pieces of art that are so perfect and perfectly put together, which is why they've lasted so many years and decades and whatever, and they've been passed on. They're masterpieces. But everything is not about perfection. Everything is not about performing to perfection, pieces that have been written I don't know how many hundreds of years ago. It's also about living in the moment. I wanted to explore the now. And I used to think back then, how can I innovate this? Like if I get into this field, how will I be innovating? How will I be bringing my background through and all of that? Those things were running through me. And even my teacher, I remember I started becoming more body-based, more feeling-based, and my teacher changed her complete style of singing at that time. It became body-based. Like opera singing, often, the way that they teach us is through kind of like, think of your throat going up and you're like, it's very mental, like the way that they teach you that do this, fix this, do that, and then the voice will come through in this way. It's like very mechanical almost, is how that they used to teach. And it wasn't actually in the body. Everything was about lifting and whatever. It almost felt ungrounded. Now my teacher discovered somebody in Italy who used to teach the old Italian way, like how opera actually began. It was very like at home, you know, like how a singer would sing at home and perform to everybody, which was through the body, and it sounded very different. It didn't sound that nasally, that shrill sort of sound that we're used to in opera. It was very much more like when my teacher began changing her voice, it actually became grounded, it became more deep, it became more coming from the whole body as well. It wasn't just lift your throat and all of that. And she was singing through feeling. Like she would tell me, I want you to forget about all of the techniques that I've taught you, and you just need to breathe. That's it. And that was the practice that we used to do. Like for example, before, with these other techniques that are taught in the West, you know, especially in the US and stuff, because everything there is about like the US schools of opera are very, like, you know, they're brilliant performers, by the way. They're ready for stage. Like when students come out of college, they are so like professional that you're shocked almost, you know, that they're so young and look at how professional they are, so well rounded and all of that. Europe is more known for that innate musicality, like, you know, it can be a little bit more imperfect, but it's about the exploration of music, so it's bringing different qualities. But at the same time, even in Europe, it was missing this old way of singing from the body. And so because, you know, the world is changing and everybody influences everyone and we went through this age where it was all about this scientific whatever, and we overdid that. So of course that was important, but you know, overdoing anything is obviously not the right way. It's about balance. So this new method of teaching me didn't even involve these exercises of like practicing and hitting a certain note, you know, for many hours before I could sing. It was just breathing. She would say, just breathe, you know, and then now sing. It's like, and my practice would be to read the words out with feeling. So whatever the words are, like, because they would be in Italian, French and German mostly, a few of them were in English, the songs, the arias and stuff, and I would read them out, and I would read them with feeling and express them with feeling. And then I didn't have to think about how to sing it. She would be like, it comes naturally from your body. When you land the feeling, it comes, it flows. And this is exactly how spirituality works as well. You land the feeling and it flows. So this was much more aligned with a body-based practice. So you see how just because I was moving into the body, things in my reality started changing like that. Like things I couldn't have imagined. My teacher changed her whole thing. Nobody's even heard of this system of singing opera, you know. And it is just like, you know, suddenly it was in my reality and I loved it. And my teacher was also so shocked because she had to convince all of her other students that, you know, I'm changing this method. It's actually a better method. And they were like, what the hell? Like, you've been training me in this method and nobody else does this. I'm sure she must have lost students. But I was so fully on board. I was so excited with this new method. So everything around you will change as well, you know, in alignment with what you're feeling. It'll bring you the support that you actually need. Whatever changes you're going through, life will dramatically change in ways that you can't even think of. You couldn't mentally perceive or plan or think that, oh, you know, if I change this way, perhaps this and this will change. It'll look very different and it'll be there to support you in different ways. So when you are working with the flame, it will ask you to shed your ego. It will ask you to release all expectations, all ways that you knew yourself. So back then, I quit being a teacher. I used to teach English in Hong Kong. That's what I was doing while I was preparing to be an opera singer as well, because I really loved singing. But I quit that, and so many years I didn't, you know, I just worked on myself for a few years and then started sharing online slowly, and then, you know, slowly started this channel and all of that. And you can see only now am I actually, this year and last year perhaps, you know, making more regular videos even. But the point is that, and then last year I was guided to sort of start, because I came back to India after 10 years. So I was guided to start working. So I'm teaching again after so many years. Must have been like 5 or I don't know how many years that I'm teaching again. I'm working for somebody else, you see. So again, it was like that shedding of that identity that, you know, you might be a spiritual guide or whatever, but perhaps your service is needed here. It's for your own highest good and the highest good of wherever the service is needed, because I work with children, and there's all of these new children, by the way, that are being born. And many of the children who have these sort of disabilities, you know, ADHD and all of those things, autism and all, they actually have different abilities, and they need teachers who understand that and who support them, even if you don't understand it, but you can hold space and you just hold that love. They need that non-judgment in order for them to not get sucked in by this society and just become numb and all of that. So anyway, so your service can look widely different from what you thought, and the path is about surrendering your ego again and again. Whatever identity, role, even a spiritual guide that you took as, it'll dissolve. Everything dissolves and you just have to know that all I am is truth. All I am is this flame. All I am is service, and you just allow it to come through. You allow it to not even, you won't even feel like it's guiding you anymore. You'll feel like it's just moving through you when you've allowed it, and then you are that, whatever it is flowing as. Okay, so this video, I made it longer than I expected, and this series, I was planning for it to be very simple, but you know how it is. Okay, so that's the point of no return, when you hit a certain level of truth and you can't go back from that. So especially when it's coming from the white flame, you will really know it. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please like this video if you got some wisdom today. If you enjoyed my personal sharings and stories, let me know what you thought. And let me know if you have any questions as well about the 5th dimensional process. I keep forgetting to mention that in my videos. If you have any questions about it and what you're going through and you would like me to speak on it, if I'm guided, then I will. Guys, check this out. This beautiful flower. So one of you mentioned actually that I should speak about the different plants that we have, but I don't really take care of these plants to be honest. My dad is the one who is really into this, so I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about the plants, but you know, I feel blessed to be in their presence, especially with everything else that goes on. And yeah, I really love these ones. I guess some of my favorites are the ones that hang like that and just seem to overflow, like this cup of abundance or something. And these plants just really hold space for me, you know. I'm very visual as well, so sometimes even at night I'll see things in my third eye. Like once I saw these dancing elementals, and they were doing this very sensual like belly dance, because this essence of sensuality was landing within me, so it's almost like they were present there. And it was showing me that this is what you are as well. And but beyond just even that, you know, just at a physical level, these plants, I can feel just the air changes when one is around them. We don't have the tidiest of terraces, sorry about that, but we have these here, you know, just to prevent the sunlight from destroying the plants. The light, as you know, in India the sun is really strong. I guess I really like these ones. They're very beautiful. Dark green, kind of like the color that I serve as well, the ray. Yeah, there's all of them over there. I won't go all the way there behind the clothes. It'll be hard to film that, but I think you got a sense of the beauty that I'm surrounded by, that I feel really lucky to have.